everybody? Happy New Year. Adam here, Blacktop, SmackTalk, man. We're back. Brand new year, brand new string of interviews we got lined up, man. We got a good one today. But your boy Adam's here, representing Blacktop, SmackTalk. We got my brothers on the pod. We got Bruce Jackson out in California.
What's up?
And we got Charlie Hustle out here, not in Seattle. He's in sunny Hawaii right now, living the dream, living large. Hopefully we'll have Sano come on in a little bit. If not, it's cool, man. But man, we're excited. We got a special one today, man. The title of today's pod is When the Ball Stops Bouncing. And we got two guys who, once the ball stopped bouncing for them, they've really took their careers in the outside of basketball world, and they really took off, and they're really making a difference in society. So we got two of my guys. I've known these guys a long time, man. I've known Dr. Trevor. I've known Dr. Trevor Tsuchikawa, man, since I was like in 7th grade when we started, and he was a freshman running around hella fast with the GPS on. So we got Dr. Trevor in the house, and then we got, man, well, probably, man, I'm biased because I've known Ant a long time, but one of the more underrated, not talked about big men in Seattle basketball, and now he's doing really good things in the education world as an educator. I'll call you professor.
Nah, that's the goal. That's the goal. I appreciate that.
Every day you mean make Kool-Aid.
Okay, now my kids talking about Kool-Aid while we're recording.
No,
the goal is to get to that professional level, man. And I think the work, part of the work that I'm doing right now will hopefully get me to there. So I can open more doors. I try to open more doors. Right. But yeah, man, I appreciate y'all having me on, man. It's an honor to be on.
Man. Trev, Ant, man, thank you guys for coming on, taking time out of your day. It's a crazy time we're living in right now, man. So just talk to us. How's life? How's everything with you guys? I know we're in the midst of a pandemic. Ant and I, we kind of share the same profession, and we're in the education world. And then, Trev is a dentist. He has his hand in, he wears many hats. And Trev wears many hats. So, man, how's life for you guys, for you and your families?
Man, life's good. It was weird being stuck at home for those first couple months. But then, I got back in the swing of things. Dentists are considered essential. So we got back to the office, loaded up on the PPE. I started, loading up on it early on. So it wasn't an issue for me like it is a lot of dentists out there. But yeah, loaded up on the PPE. And so now we're just basically doing business as before, keeping in mind maybe overall health, a little bit more emphasis on that. So just trying to keep people healthy out there and, trying to do what's best for everybody. And, but yeah, as far as life goes, I mean, it's tough not having my kids, do their usual sports stuff, because that's a big part of what how they identify themselves and, get a lot of self-esteem from that. So it's hard in that regard, but, I try to do my best as a dad with the dad hat, and, try to keep them motivated, big picture in mind kind of stuff. And, while still keeping things fun, at least around the house. Cause, they're at around that middle school age. So, their peers are big for them. So it's a weird challenge for parents, especially, parents that are very conscientious about those kind of things. So, but yeah, other than that, life is good. Can't complain. Everybody's healthy. So just try to keep it in perspective.
Definitely. And how about you?
Man, I always feel selfish answering or just thinking about this, because as a teacher, as an educator, right, and I know you can relate to this, Adam, like, it's like, man, like, some of your students are going through it right now, and it's not as easy to support them. So that's just always a frustration on that professional level. And then you think about your own family, and it's like I think about Trev. Like my son keeps asking, like, man, he's supposed to have his second basketball season. He's been watching hoop way more. He's got to be doing, So I'm actually like, man, bro. I think this dude he's about to have a breakout year in his second year of basketball. The way he's just kind of like, I think he understands, like, oh, in order to really get good, this is what I have to do. Like, and he's bought into it. And I haven't even anyway, so feel bad for that. Thankfully there's three kids and I had a newborn, but they get to interact with each other, right? And then so it takes care of some of the social aspect, but having a teenager, as you know, feel bad for some of the things they're kind of missing out on socially right now. Everything's digital, and so but with that said, like I've never just talking to Helen yesterday about the fact that most newborns don't get to be around their parents, like maternity leave for those 4 months, but not their father and their mother.
Right.
Like she'll be around me for basically the first year of her life, and that's extremely significant development wise, right? Yeah, right. And so it's movie nights. I've been cooking crazy because I'm always home, and so trying to separate work from home, like let me cook, and so yeah, I'm blessed. I've been blessed and been able to grow professionally. Started a business, like so, I can't really complain on a personal level.
Okay. Man. So taking back, you guys talk about your guys' relationship, because if I'm not mistaken, you guys played was it something like an AAU
I watched him. So this and correct me if I'm wrong, but initially I watched Trev play because I was sitting on the bench my junior year, and so I got to. I mean, like all throughout high school until my senior year, I was either on JV or I didn't play, but I just remember watching Trev play, and especially my junior year, sitting on the bench having a front row seat, kind of seeing him share those facilitating responsibilities. You know what I'm saying? Part of the reason I talk about that stuff is because partly in part because you see certain players that do they support that their greatness is that they know how to fit in the scheme, right? They know how to get off when they need to. They know how to, okay, my guy needs a shot. He might need a word. You know what I'm saying? I gotta get a steal, right? So I mean, that's yeah. So anyway, I just remember that was the first experience, and then I think you're talking about the summer league.
Yeah.
It was like the first time they ran the college summer league. We were teammates, and I don't want to take the mic too
No,
much.
man, that's cool, man. No, I appreciate it. But I mean, like for me, I went to Franklin, and I've known Al Snow and Brooks for since 7th, 8th grade, and so I knew what I was walking into, on gym day one, and so I knew what I was signing up for. I knew when I needed to get Snow the ball, which is pretty much majority of the time. He was a bucket, but I mean, to Ant's, Ant downplays it. He downplays his own deal. On his team, his junior year, I mean, that was probably the most talented basketball high school team this state has ever seen. I mean, just from top to bottom, 1 to 12. I mean, I could even probably go 1 to 14. Some top dudes on that JV team. I mean, they could go. I mean, so and had a little. I mean, his team was just loaded. So yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of minutes to go around because everybody was deserving of those minutes. I mean, that team was just. When I go back and think about it, I mean, I'm wondering how we even had a chance. I mean, just thinking about the team that was rolled out there. A lot of those guys are my guys too. Will and Trey, and just loaded. I mean, but yeah, and then that summer league, I got a chance to reap some of that talent playing with Ant. Will Conroy was on our team, Eddie Lincoln. I mean, just some.
Was it Sandrin? Was it?
Eric Sanders, one of the more underrated.
Oh, he was filthy.
This guy was a monster. I mean, that was a fun team. I mean, we had a lot of fun. We had guys running around and guys that were dunking all over people, and included. I mean, between Ant and Sandrin, I mean.
Oh my God, he was filthy.
I mean,
hey,
it was Lob City before Lob City. It was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun I had playing basketball. So, man, I think
I learned. I always kind of forget about Eric Sandrin in my development, right? Because I remember I first wanted to start shooting a jumper because of Jeff Day, right? Like my Garfield teammates, we was in the stands. It was after the season. We was on some LeBron James to Miami type stuff. We trying to think about getting Earl Knight. Man, we gotta get Earl Knight here, bro. Nah, if we get Earl Knight, it's over. Yada yada yada. This, that, and this. And then it was then they just started talking about Jeff Day. I'm like, hold up, man, Jeff Day, 6'10". He played the same damn and the things they were saying, man, nah, bro, he can shoot, he can do this. And I'm just like, bro, they don't even look at me like I'm a, you know. So I that's actually when I really started going to St. Joe's and working on my stuff, like on the jumper. But I remember playing with Eric and just seeing everything he could do. And I'm like, man, I might be a little bit taller than him. And I felt like I was starting to get good. And I was like, oh yeah, I got just so much stuff. I don't use my athleticism correctly, right? The way he played, he showed me like, man, I'm limiting myself by not taking advantage of my athleticism. I learned a lot from him, and then just game period. My gosh,
he's an underrated dude. I mean, he was a lot of fun to play with. These guys are. I mean, anybody that plays basketball with me knows, I tend to gamble a little bit on defense. I get after it. And so these guys were perfect because they just cleaned it all up for me. So I had a lot of fun getting after it with them guys. But yeah, and was a lot of fun to play with. And it's just good to see him do so well in life as well, because he's taken all that he's learned and just kept it going. So it's good to see.
You was already I think I appreciate you, man. Like I said, like you fixed my teeth, man. Like I can, like for real, bro. Like I've already told you, man. Like, look, man, I owe you a couple just months of just paychecks or just whatever you need.
No, it was a pleasure, man. It's good to put a smile on people's faces, man. It's good to see you again.
I was gonna say that you have a beautiful family, man. I'm happy to see that what you're doing too, man. And then thinking about the conversations that we've had about some of the work that you just want to do in the community and that you're already doing in the community, that's big. That's real big.
Man, just trying to do our part. I mean, I know everybody on this call, we're all very fortunate individuals, athletically, financially, just life situation, very fortunate folks. And so, I think I always kind of try to live by just having gratitude, and sometimes that opens up your mind to see what else is out there and what can be done for people that maybe just need a chance, or even just a fair shake. And so it's about trying to level some of that playing field, because from being in many different worlds, the dental world is way different folks that I interact with on a day-to-day basis than, say my basketball community, my basketball family, just way different worlds. And so being able to kind of pick and choose and try to, see where the worlds can benefit from each other. That's kind of what I'm trying to brainstorm. And that's why, me and Ann have been talking a lot recently about just what we can, what I can do and to just help both communities, because both communities need each other to some degree. And it's been fun thinking about it and seeing what I can do to try to move that needle a little bit.
Definitely. No, all good things and stuff. And you guys kind of, as you were talking about your relationship and how you guys knew each other, and going back to those youth days and development, and then, obviously going on to the, high school level and things, that's back in all of our times here. And Seattle was, open school district back then. So what made you, for both of you, what made you decide to, go to your respective schools as Franklin and Garfield? Because everyone I have my own reasons why I went to Nathan Hill, and I'm sure Adam Blanchette, but why did you guys want to go to, Garfield and Franklin respectively? What made you?
You want to go first, Ant?
Oh man, I'm gonna go first.
Yeah, yeah.
Nah. I mean, I grew up in the Central District, and I've always likened if you look at Garfield or like UW, so think about UW,
Mm-hmm.
their significance to Seattle, right? That was Garfield's significance to the Central District at one point in time, right? And so you grew up wanting to go to Garfield. You grew up going to the games. Seeing the players, they live right down the street or 2 streets up. I had numerous family members that went to Garfield, so it was a tradition, right? And so I remember when I got into Meany, right, that was a school that I was set in 6th grade. I was like, good, I'm good, bro. I'm going to Garfield, so it don't matter what's going on right now. So it was that was the thing to do. Like you're going to Garfield if you're in the CD. Except for Al Snow and AB, which never made sense to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, excuse me.
No, for me, it was, we had choices. I grew up playing Asian basketball. That was what my parents threw me into. Adam knows the deal, and I love my Asian basketball family. And basically, I started playing AAU basketball in the 8th grade. And so that was where I met actually AJ Brooks. And so we're best friends now. I mean, I'm the godfather of his son. I mean, that's my guy, but back then he was, I thought he was one of the greatest players I've ever seen. I mean, I was like, I can't, when he guards me, it's a wrap. So I was like, if I want to avoid facing this,
I'll play with him.
I enjoy playing on his team. And same thing I was saying with Ann about making up my deficiencies or my chance taking defense. It was just a good fit, and we always play well together, and so we have a lot of fun. And at that same time, I was going to Mercer, and me and Al Snow were there together, and they both told me they were going to Franklin, and it's kind of a no-brainer, from there, because Al Snow was my dude at Mercer, and we had a basketball sense. It was we had an undefeated season at Mercer, and so we just thought let's keep this show going. And so he was like, I'm going to Franklin. I said, okay, well, that's where I'm. And then some of the homies were going to Mercer, from Franklin to Franklin. So it was just for me. It was kind of a no-brainer. It was really a no-brainer. I really didn't even think about going anywhere else. My dad said, well, if you go to Cleveland, you could play basketball. No shade on Cleveland, but that's what he was saying. He was like, and I said, well, if I want to really try to do something with basketball, I gotta see what I can do against the best, which was what I saw was Brooks and Snow. And so we took that show to Franklin, and had a lot of fun, and man, we learned so much, and just grew as individuals. I mean, went in as kids, and I always joke that I don't know how much you guys know about Coach Ron Drayton. But this man was, he was legendary with his discipline, and we always laughed that, in 2 years we became men. We became grown men, and even when I talked to Kerr Kerr came in our senior year, and he always says, he goes, man, you guys were like grown high school kids, because like we've been through hell. I mean, those summer days on the track where we're running till we're all ready to pass out, and he's tallying our laps and our times. I mean, it's cutthroat. There was a lot of regimented things, like we had to run a 4-minute mile in 28 minutes. That caused a lot of transfers out of Franklin. Franklin had more talent than what was seen on the on the basketball court, but a lot of it transferred out because of that 4-mile requirement that Drayton always had.
4 miles in 28 minutes?
Man, I kid you not. People were dying out there.
I bet you.
It was puking. The garbage can was right by the staircase. Everybody knows that garbage can right by the staircase at Franklin Track. It got that garbage can got tore up because in those summers, because everybody had to run in the summers to make that time in the fall, and so we probably had 3 or 4 kids literally quit that would have been on the team just because whether it's that 4 mile or whether it's Drayton, but.
That's why, man. You back to what you said earlier. I don't even know how how we could hang with y'all with all the talent that y'all had. Y'all was outworking this, man. Like that's I mean that like not to cut you off, but just thinking about that at Garfield, and I'm not talking about Harrison. I can't talk about Coach Rodriguez. I didn't play for them. I played for Wayne Floyd. But it was the JV team. It was almost like you were getting jumped in right. You couldn't go into the team room, right? It was more like, man, this is Garfield. This is some exclusive stuff. We don't do nothing but state championships here. You can't come into this room until you're on varsity, until you got one of these jerseys. Yeah, look, go ahead, look at the trophy. I'll come in, watch College Boozer, blah blah. Get out, right? Type of thing. But it was Jones. It was Jones that had he kept on the Harrison tradition, right? The Al Harrison, and he was the one that did the wall sits and had us on the. So it's crazy to hear the varsity team. Y'all, that's what y'all was on. Our varsity team, like we shooting jumpers, and I'm not saying we wasn't working, running lines.
Right.
But I like just listen. We didn't have I didn't have nothing like that till Romar, and it wasn't 4 miles. It was just a 1 mile. That's crazy. Yeah. But it explains y'all intensity and how y'all could keep it up for 2 overtimes, and like that explains it.
It really felt like you're a part of the Army. I mean, like you had to, it was the discipline of, and we all hear the stories of Drayton, where Tommy King, he had to, one of the greatest out of Seattle, but he was a monster. But there's a story that says, and I hope I'm not speaking, but where he showed up late, and Drayton had this rule: set of lines for every minute you're late. Tommy King, shows up 28. This is the story I hear, so take it for what it's worth. But he shows up 28 minutes late or something, runs the set and says, F you, I'm out of here. Like Drayton he pushed people to the limits, whether it's willingly or unwillingly. He pushed, and I had those same stories where, people show up, 19 minutes late and you're there at the end of practice and you see them running and I'm not showing up late. I remember on my way to a Saturday morning practice, I got hit by this guy, just came and hit and run me. He banged me and took off. I said, well, I could either, sit here, call the cops, make a report, whatever. I was like, well, I'm not going to be late for practice. I went to practice. I called him after practice. I was like, I didn't want to be late because I didn't want to, nobody wanted to run. So, man, that was the life that Drayton set forth. And so once we got out of that, Kerr was funny because he was like, I know, after when I started coaching with him, he was like, I know I was tough. And I was like, man, we laughed because compared to this guy, Drayton, he was a whole nother level of discipline. It was every little thing, that you had to do just to be on the team, let alone get playing time. That's a whole different story. We had to run the set of lines under 27 seconds. It was just everything so regimented that it felt like an Army type of ritual where you had to do these things to be a part of the program. And then I think it does help him when you're in those battles, you accomplished all these things. So then you got that internal confidence to okay, I can take on this challenge and get after it. And so I, looking back on it, not when I'm in it, but looking back on it, I thank Drayton for that because in any challenges I get now in life, whether it's anything with my kids or I just say I'm more looking to the finish line more so than, the victim mode and the adversity behind it. So
that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like I should have went to Franklin. And this is no, when I'm saying this is no disrespect to Coach Floyd. You know what I'm saying? Definitely learn how to be professional from Coach Floyd. But yeah, I learned that the hard way at UW. I got kicked out of school. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of how I started to learn it. And even then, it wasn't established because I thought I was kind of wrong in some ways, right? The victim. But just thinking about, I try to approach teaching like that, and not to cross over into that, but just thinking about some of the things that weren't stressed as a player to me. And you end up learning your own. You have to establish it yourself, right? And so you end up being a grown man and say, man, accountability is important. Or, Your expectations, like, yeah, like what? Like, yeah, like, of course that's important. And so that's how I try to approach teaching with, obviously understanding where a kid is at, but definitely like, yo, man, this is real. You know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, man, that's crazy though. It's you just think back to Snow. I remember when goodness gracious, there was a screen that he set on me, right? And I was like, what is wrong with this dude?
Oh yeah.
And the coach just like, who is this guy? But it was all of you guys. It was all of you guys. And the tradition even carried on, because Kerr, his system, I think his system is second to none. Especially if he has the right guards in it. But what you're saying, it just explains like Franklin had, like, they never had anybody my height. You know what I'm saying? But there was never a time they drive into the hole. I blocked this. Didn't matter. Like it was. You guys just played with just a certain level of just tenacity, man. Like I honestly think y'all got the best guards. Like if you went from 90, and I'm probably disrespecting some cats, but from Craig Jack, right? If go back to 86 to now and just counted up the amount of guards that y'all have had that have gotten D1 or played in the league, or not even that, just that can just go.
Man.
Franklin, man, like, yeah, man.
It's funny. Francis Williams, that's my guy. He used to always do the UW play-by-plays, and I used to give him shit because he would always mention, because that was when like Benoit was there at UW. Yep. He'd always say, "Man, Franklin, he comes from this long lineage of guards. Jimmy Haywood, Jason Terry, Al Snow, Peyton Siva was coming, Brooks, obviously." And I go, man, I was like, you're always forgetting your guy.
Come on.
So we always have a good laugh about that, and we have a good time. But I mean, yeah, Franklin just pumps out the guards, because I mean, the discipline that Drayton did, and then also Kirk carried on. It was just amazing on seeing the development of these young guards that they come in, all of them super talented, obviously, but to see how they mold, and they reshape, and the big thing, like what you mentioned, Ant, was accountability. Coaching with Kerr I think I coached with them for 9 years, and that staff, I learned so much about the game of basketball and life, and the big thing was accountability. Not enabling people, and so it just helps kids turn that corner on making these decisions for themselves, and just I just think it's huge, and then that's why a lot of them they carry that on through when they go play at the next level. They still play extremely disciplined, and because they feel that accountability, so to speak, and Kerr's the best in the business. I mean, he's I can't say enough good things about him on just what I've learned about the game of basketball, especially the things that I've learned about the game of basketball that carry on to life. That accountability piece, the victim piece, just not enabling my own children, just holding them accountable as well. The big thing was entitlement too. And so I think a lot of these Franklin guards, they all carried a lot of the similar traits as far as this goes, where, me and Snow talk about this all the time, about just the personalities of after basketball, speaking on our topic here, just speaking on how the traits on the basketball court literally carry on into life in the business world, in our, me as an entrepreneur, it carries on to these next facets of life. And it's I was going to say the same game. It's the same rules, but just a different game. Yeah. It's interesting.
Definitely.
That's awesome. That's good insight to see some of why Franklin and Garfield were such, and still are, but such powerhouses growing up. And I remember going to those games, and it's like, dang, man, dudes are running everywhere. You feel like there's like 7 dudes on the court. And I'm like, man. But at that time, obviously, Hale was Metro, and I think during your years, you probably went from Metro to Kinko.
Yep.
So obviously Nathan Hale, we never had to play you guys when I was there. But I was gonna ask you guys a couple questions. I was gonna say one of the guys that me and Adam know that he might have been one of those guys that might have been thrown up in that trash can that didn't make it is our guy Mandel.
Oh,
Mandel had game, and then when I met him, like, you didn't never play varsity.
Yeah.
And I was like, this guy's a killer. And I'm
He
like,
could stroke it. He could stroke it, man. He could stroke it. Yeah. I mean, that trash can, man. It was everybody took a turn on that. I mean, it was those summer days, where it's, 90 degrees outside, dead heat. I mean, we literally had track shoes. I mean, as basketball players, we had track shoes. Oh, check this. So, if you didn't play a fall sport like football or something, you had to do conditioning to play basketball.
Yep.
I signed up for cross country because it was easier than running basketball. I was out in cross country running a couple miles a day because it was easier. I was like, oh, this is a piece of cake because you just go for like a jog, Versus
nobody cussing you out.
Man, on that track, puking and running 200s after 200s. I mean, especially when you're getting smoked by Brooks. Brooks is, he's genetically built for 200s and 400s. So I was like, man, I'm tired of getting smoked by this guy. Busting my ass out here just to keep up. But man, yeah. So that was, that track was brutal. I mean, I remember each step. To this day, I'm getting flashbacks. I'm getting flashbacks to the puddle on that first turn. I know that track like the back of my hand. So, I mean, it was fun time, but man, it made you a man real quick. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. See, Bruce up there. Yeah, Bruce was he won the 400 and 800. First person in state history to win both of those.
Really? That's impressive.
Yeah, and I ran cross country, but cross country at Hale was a lot different than cross country at Franklin.
Said, calm that easy down. Calm that easy down.
Yeah. No shade there, but that 400 and 800, man, those things are, those are monsters. Yeah, those are tough.
All right. Well, let me ask you guys, what would you say is some of the best games you guys ever played from an individual standpoint, and just also some of the most exciting games that you've ever been a part of?
But don't talk about Garfield Franklin games because we're gonna get to that. That's gonna be on our next segment. So don't get to those games yet.
Oh, I guess yeah.
I'll start with this one. So, man, the best. One of the most enjoyable games ever as a fan, as a player was.
I know what you're gonna say.
Rainier Beach, Franklin. It was 1999. So my fifth year. It was December '99, and we're getting just absolute. We're getting our asses whooped. We're down 21 at the half. We're getting dunked on. I think Lod had 2 or 3 dunks. Nate Rob's having a blast out there. Rick Frazier's doing his thing. Spin move floaters. We're just getting tore up. And me and Snow are sitting on the bench. I'm in foul trouble like always, so that's not a new story. But we're on the bench. Brooks is we're all in foul trouble. The whole team's in foul trouble. We're just getting annihilated. We go to the locker room. We come back out. And I hit a couple threes to get us going, and then Snow just goes ballistic. He scores the next 30. I think he finished with 30 and a half, and we come back and win. It was one of the funnest games. I felt it was pandemonium. It might have been a different aura on the Rainier Beach side. But that game was legendary. Snow was hitting shots that were unbelievable. I was able to get my hands on that game film, and I posted it on Instagram. I posted a little snippet. First person before I could even put my phone down from the post, Snow texts me. He says, "I'm at your house in 30 minutes." He said, "I'm coming to get that tape." He's like, "I need that.
I need that.
Yeah, he's like, "I need that." He's like, "I've been waiting for this forever." And the funny part is that's what the pandemic brought out for me. It gave me time to, my dad found these old tapes and he was like, "Hey, I got these tapes. I'm going to pick them up." And so, actually it started from, I was helping my kids put together a Mother's Day video is actually pretty cool. They did a like Mike, but it was like Mom for Mother's Day. They did this like a spoof off that. But in order to hide the fact I was trying to help them put it together, I had to go get fake tapes from, or what I was just pretending to get tapes. But I mean, he delivered probably 40 tapes that were just, I mean, they were fun to go through, and I went through a bunch of them. And the Rainier Beach one was the first one I pulled out, and I burned it on a DVD, gave it to Snow, and he's loving every minute, I assume, because it was just the most unbelievable performance I've ever seen in my life. So that was probably the funnest game I've ever been a part of, and one I'll always remember that one. It was good times. Yeah.
Dope. Man, just thinking, it can't be a Franklin game. It's gonna be weird to say this, and we really didn't lose, man. They cheated us, man. They cheated us. So if I'm thinking high school, and I gotta keep it real, it was Nate Robinson. They didn't have Nate Robinson on this RB team, which kind of tells you RB kind of had the same intensity as Franklin, but Garfield, Rainier Beach, at Garfield. I want to say it was the second game of the season. We played Davis, Big Josh. I was ineligible for that game because I played
at that game.
Right?
Jack from Yak. I went to that game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Scott Miller, he did the spin move baseline. I was like, man, I played against the AAU, man, but maybe it's a good thing. I'm out this game because that was the most amazing spin move from a 6'7", 300-pound dude I've ever seen in my life. So Rainier Beach, Garfield. It was a great game. Lied. I don't know if he really went for 41. You know, I give him 34, but I think bias, man. Nah, but he had an amazing game. He was hitting shots the whole game where it was just like, bro, like I had played with him all spring and summer in AAU, so I knew who he was already. And I was just hoping that he didn't have a game like that. But he just went off. And then the last play of the game. This is basically what it is. We're up. Last play of the game. I'm guarding T. Shep the whole game. They had T. Shep, who doesn't get any credit, love, or anything. No mentions. Tyrone Shepard is one of the best ball players that I've ever played against. 6'5", really strong, handle. He was like Draymond Green, but with more wiggle in his game. He could wiggle, and so with RB, it was like he's strong enough to guard Ant, right? He's strong enough to guard. He's not tall, but he's strong and smart enough to guard Ant. And on offense, he gives us, we could take the shot blocker outside. So the whole game, they're isoing me. So I knew what he was going to do. And I let him get there. Like as a shot blocker, it was like, I might not be able to guard you out here, but if go ahead, get to the rim. Just get to the rim. I want you to get there because then that's when I'm gonna block it. Anyway, he drives, floats the ball up. I block that shit. Excuse my language. I block it.
You good.
I don't care what anybody says. It was a block. It goes into the crowd. I do my little I'm thinking there's not enough time to shoot another shot. It's over. Go 10. I'm like, hold up, what? Hold up. Nah, don't do that to me. Like I'm literally like, no, don't. You can't do that to me. Like you cannot do that to me. Anyway, we end up going to overtime. B ends up cramping up. He's having a hell of a game too. Brandon Roy, he ends up cramping up, and we just kind of lose our momentum because we wasn't running 4 mile 28 or 28 minute 4 miles. And RB, they outlast us in overtime. But just thinking back to just knowing all the cats on the court, right? Playing with some of these guys on my team and Rainier Beach, and just knowing what Loud and Rod could do, man. Knowing how good Tyrone, I think it was a great example of just how great Seattle basketball could be, man. So that's high school, and I'm gonna give you two college. I mean, actually, I'm gonna give you 3 college because they all happened in the same year. The year that gets overlooked at UW, and I'm not saying this, I know the best team was the year I transferred. I got kicked out, right? So I know that goes without saying. But there was there was a couple of games, and I was in the doghouse, but it just didn't matter. Like that's how exciting these games were. So it wasn't even like, games that I killed in or anything like that. Oregon State,
I was gonna say, I already knew that was
Yep.
coming.
I'll never forget
right?
it. I'll never
Right,
forget it.
Nate hits the most amazing shot, and that's really what started the run, right? I'll never, we're in the locker room, going crazy. And then Arizona at UW, they were number 4 in the nation. We remember the at Heck Ed, right? The significance of the renovations were that they kept the original windows. So it was a Saturday game. And I remember watching Saturday games my whole life in just Michigan, Duke, and all these different players. So we're on national TV. We get to the gym early. I think it was Gabe. Gabe Ladd. He comes to the gym. He chops us all up, man. We everybody's good. I know I'm not about to play that much. It doesn't even, I don't even care. Like, it didn't even matter, right? That's just how much energy there was. And the things Nate Robinson did in that game. Actually, the things Salim Stoudemire did in that game. Salim Stoudemire came down one time. He was driving left at the elbow, did his step back like in the weirdest angle I've ever seen, right? But he's left-handed, and so it's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Hassan Adams came down banging out. And I just remember in the second half, like, I did get on the court, right? But I remember they were drawing up a play, and I'll leave the other game out of it, but they were drawing up a play. I can't remember if we were down or up. I think we were still down at this point, but they were drawing up a play. So he says alley-oop, right? And I'm okay. So I think B's in the game, Bob's in the game, I'm in the game, and I think Will and this 5'6", 5'7" dude is also in the game. And they're drawing an alley-oop play, right? And I remember, you're gonna stand in the corner. You're gonna stand in the corner, close to the bench. And I'm like, holy, okay, so I'm the decoy. So they're getting the big out. And then they said, Nate, you're gonna come across, you can get the. I'm like, I can't wait to. I knew, like, I had seen this dude dunk on cats. He tried to dunk on me a million times. Like, I was just like, it was like, dog, do people realize they drew up a alley-oop play for a 5'6" dude, right? We got a 6'7" dude on the court, a 6'10" dude. So I'm just waiting on this baseline, man. I'm just waiting for this dude as the play is starting to formulate, and he gets this. It's to me, it's one of the as a moment on being on the court and playing is probably one of my favorite moments ever in life. Right outside of being professional, when I did have a couple really good games, but like easily I couldn't believe it. It was the most amazing thing, and I think he had so many moments like that in that game. That's what drove us to win the game, right? That's what drove us to win the game. And I ultimately actually did get a block, a go-ahead bucket, and then another bucket. So even though I didn't really even play, I was in the game towards the end, and I got to actually contribute too. So, yeah, those I'll just leave it at 2. But yeah.
No, that's awesome, man. That's good stuff. That
Oregon Not to get all excited, man.
But... oh, no, that's what we like that, man. We love it. I'm getting excited just remembering watching those games, man.
Right.
That's filthy.
That's good. I was at that game, that Arizona game. So I definitely remember that, the atmosphere and all that. With and I could tell both of you were, when you were pondering like, oh, what's my favorite moment? Obviously, you guys wanted to maybe go at each other with the Franklin and Garfield. So just tell me what what does that going into that? What does that mean to you guys? What does that rivalry mean to you? And maybe there's, I'm sure there's many memorable moments, but what does that first, what does the rivalry mean to you? And maybe there's one game that stands out in particular, or one particular moment of that rivalry that's memorable or important for you guys each.
I gotta let the OG go first, man. Garfield Franklin is still ranking level, so I gotta let the OG go first on that.
No, thanks, man. No, it's just a fun. I mean, it's for people that are in it. It's up there with all of the top rivalries. I mean, it feels like a Carolina Duke kind of thing. Back in the late 90s, early 2000s, even mid 2000s. I mean, that rivalry was it was as good as it gets. There were, territorial implications, gang implications. There just across the board, it was just the rivalry of all rivalries, because so much was at stake, so to speak, as far as bragging rights. Honestly, just being able to walk around the city with your head high. I remember we beat so that legendary Garfield team that me and Ant were talking about earlier. We got them our senior year, and that felt like we won the state championship. I remember like it was yesterday. We were out in Inglemore. A funny backstory to that. I don't know if you guys even knew, but me and Snow got benched, and Anthony Grant got benched for that game because, well, they were late for other reasons. I was late to practice because I was watching my now wife, but my girlfriend at the time played in her state tournament. So I was trying to play that role. I ended up late for practice, and they ended up late for practice because they were in a game with Maul down at Beach. So it was high school choices, But we went into that game, starting on the bench. I actually didn't end up doing a whole lot that game because that was actually Aaron Brooks's coming out party. That was his first real game where he got a lot of minutes, and that guy shined. He was unbelievable.
Is that why?
Yep.
That was the real reason why.
So he was out there. He was out there dancing. He was cooking, and so after that moment, the whole world knew about what he could do. So I was happy about that because like I said, the Brooks family is they're family to me. So I was just as happy as he was when he had that game. I was jumping all over him, and we had a great time. But that game right there stands out to me because they were so loaded. They basically had a Pac-12 team. From 1 to 12, they had a Pac-12 team. Unbelievable. And for us to pull out that victory, like Ant said, it was just more of a testament to just us, wanting to work harder than anybody, and just all those years of just getting beat on the head by, running on that track. And it kind of all just came together that game. And honestly, it might have taken the sail out of our, making a run at state because we put so much into winning that game that maybe we did exhale a little bit, but that was probably the most memorable game to me. There was many other. There was a game at Garfield. We were both 1 and 2 at state. This is before Ant was there, but this is the year Garfield won state with Jerry Clayton Smith.
Yeah. They were. I was a fan, man.
Yeah. It was. Yeah, so
freshman.
We had a game there at Garfield, and something happened and this is like probably my second, third varsity game. I basically went from the freshman team to varsity.
Wow.
Yeah, I really didn't play a whole lot I think I played like 2 games of JV, and because I was put on the freshman team with all the other Asian kids that made it. So. so we were all in there, but then I played varsity my sophomore year, but then so it was like third game, I'm super green, and he's like, Trev, you're starting, and I was like, okay, let's do this, and I still remember on the bus there, the team manager, they came back and they're like, are you nervous? And I was like, to be honest, I don't even know what I'm getting into, so it wasn't until after the game where I was like, man, this is a big deal. This is crazy. People rush the court. I still remember to this day, it's the police officer, he grabbed me and yanked me to the locker room because he was just trying to get all the players to the locker room because, there was, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the exit of one of those games, but back then it was, there's probably going to be some minor violence of some sort, that was going to go on. Just people that are, angry at each other. So stuff was going to go down. And so, but yeah, those 2 games stick out in my head. I got selective memory, so I don't remember any of the losses. So, but it's always the wins that I remember. Yeah. You got it.
So this just thinking about Franklin and Garfield, I'm a shape what Trevor's talking about. It was my freshman year. I didn't hoop at all, and I was kind of like, I don't know really what I'm gonna do or be at Garfield. I was like 5'10", so I wasn't tall, and I quit playing AAU basketball my whole 8th grade year, and we won a city championship against CAY actually with Miller, right? But it was just more I was playing with all the hood cats that be at the community center and put on a jersey. Yeah. All right, so it's a Garfield Franklin football game. Okay, my freshman year, like I said, I'm outside the school sometimes. So I'm a square, but I'm trying to figure out who I'm going to be. Okay, so I go to this game, man. It starts raining. I can't even remember who wins the game. Can't remember. Think Outkast, Spody Odie, Dopalicious, when Andre's talking about who won. All right, so just picture that. The way he gives that visual is exactly what happens. So we leave the stadium, Memorial Stadium, in the parking lot. It's fighting. I'm noted. Okay, he's from the CD. He's from the CD. Okay, I'm gonna stand over like here as I walk to the. I'm trying to get to the bus or whatever. And I'm just like, dog, what? Okay, I remember this, but I would be with my cousin or somebody, and they would get me out of there. So I kind of understood. Oh, we would leave before the game was over or just whatever. So okay, I get it now. This is what it is. Pop, pop, pop. Dude gets on the court, CD or see me, blah, blah. And I'm just like, okay, well, thank God I'm from the Central District, but I'm running. Like I ran up into the Seattle Center, never went to a Garfield Franklin football game again, right? And at that moment, I said, okay, I'm definitely one of these cats that's in the school. I'm not outside the school. I'm not trying to even have it. I don't want to be there for the South End CD conversation that was always had. I'll listen to it in the classroom, because we're still going to talk about it. So that just kind of shapes what he said. That's what used to happen. Anyway, thinking about, it was 2 games. It was kind of back-to-back. Obviously, the first game, AB used to always say I had a triple-double. Watched the game like 10 times. Didn't have a triple-double. I don't even think I had 10 blocks. I had like 7 or 8 blocks. But we beat Franklin by like 49 points, right? And for me, it was a big deal because the game Trevor's talking about, I was just an innocent bystander watching, and I got to see a young cat in AB, a B Roy. I think Marcellus even got some tick in those games, right? So it was like, man, I didn't contribute. I didn't get to contribute with Roydell. So beating Franklin by 49 and having all them blocks and just being like, yeah, just talking all that, for me, that was like, it was a big deal because when you would go to the barbershops my junior year, I'm just listening to them talk to Al Snow or talk about a Roydell Smiley or talk about putting 500 up on it or just talking about the CD South End. But I'm not, damn, they ain't saying nothing about me. Like, they ain't even telling me to have a good game. You know what I'm saying? So I remember that the very next year, though, it was, come on, A-Wash, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, dang, okay. Yeah, I got to do something, right? And I'm not a better scorer than B. I'm not Marcellus, Will, right? I'm not, or Jamal Miller, right? They were all, I took a backseat to them, even though I did average 20 in the last AAU tournament and the summer tournament before the high school season. I averaged 20 in both of those. But I just had to throw that out there. I had to throw that out. But just real talk, like that game, but we played them a couple days later, and I remember them saying, they were acting like, oh, this game doesn't mean anything. It was like, it was on TV. It don't mean nothing. We about to play y'all again. And the next game that we played him was actually the better game. It was a great game. AB played a better game. He started to adjust. I noticed he started using a floater. I still blocked the shot a couple times, but it was just like, man, these guys are they're going to be really, really good. And we beat them again, but it was just like I was part of it, at that point. And so those 2 games especially are always what stick out to me because I actually got to contribute to that rivalry, man. Yeah,
AB was special. His finishing ability is I mean, it's
I'm responsible for 1/8 of that. I don't even know if that makes sense, but I'm like, he'll tell you. He'll ask him. He'll, like, and I'm not trying to take credit for AB or nothing like that, but like 1/10 of his layup package.
It's a beautiful thing. Yeah.